Welcome to Aviator DB News Briefing. Today is Sunday, April 12th, 2026. Here's a look at weather across the nation today. In the East Coast, New York is looking at overcast with a high of 55 and a low of 39. In the central U.S., Chicago is looking at slight rain with a high of 80 and a low of 49. In the West Coast, Los Angeles is looking at moderate drizzle with a high of 63 and a low of 51. Here are today's top stories. FAA expands safety management system requirements to Part 135 operators. Gulf flight risks persist despite Iran ceasefire announcement. Major U.S. airlines hike checked bag fees up to $10 amid rising fuel costs. Now for the details. FAA expands safety management system requirements to Part 135 operators. The Federal Aviation Administration published a final rule April 26, 2024, requiring safety management systems for additional aviation segments. The mandate applies to Part 135 charter operators, Part 91.147 air tour operators, and certain Part 21 aircraft manufacturers. Implementation timeline. Part 135 operators must submit a declaration of compliance to the FAA no later than May 28, 2027, with compliant SMS programs required to be fully developed and implemented prior to that deadline. FAA certificated repair stations in the U.S. seeking, Part 145 approval must have SMS fully implemented by December 31, 2025. Collaborative Safety Framework. The FAA's SMS framework consists of 4 functional components: safety policy, safety risk management, safety assurance, and safety promotion. According to FAA Administrator Mike Whitaker, requiring more aviation organizations to implement a proactive approach to managing safety will prevent accidents and save lives. The regulatory approach emphasizes that SMS provides a structured, repeatable, systematic approach to proactively identify hazards and manage safety risk. The final rule includes a requirement that organizations with SMS share hazard information with other aviation organizations to work collaboratively in identifying and addressing potential safety issues. U.S. airlines have been required to implement SMS since 2018, providing established industry experience as the regulations expand. Gulf aviation navigates post-ceasefire volatility. Aviation operators in the Gulf region are advised to conduct real-time risk assessments following a 2-week ceasefire between the U.S., Israel, and Iran, announced on April 7, 2026. While diplomatic efforts were underway, airspace risks remain high as attacks persist in specific sectors. Post-ceasefire attacks and defense claims. Gulf governments reported a full day without new incidents on April 9th. However, post-ceasefire strikes subsequently hit infrastructure, including the UAE's Habshan gas complex, resulting in 1 fatality via debris, and Saudi Arabia's Ras Tanura refinery, which sustained damage in February 2026 with ongoing reports. Other targets included Iranian Islands, Lavan oil refinery, and Siri gas plant, as well as infrastructure in Kuwait, Bahrain, and UAE. The UAE Defense Ministry declared the country free of any air threats. On April 9th, after intercepting ballistics, cruise missiles, and thousands of drones. Specifically, reports indicate shooting down 17 ballistic missiles and 35 drones post-ceasefire from Iran. Iran denies specific strikes, blaming Israel for false flag operations. Operational impacts and routing. Airspace remains partially closed with tight controls. Flights via Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Doha operate on reduced schedules, with detours adding 2 to 5 hours, particularly those overflying Iran and Iraq. Most flights are normalizing but subject to last-minute changes. Cargo and low-cost carriers like Fly Dubai and Air Arabia face more constraints until mid-late April. Major carriers, Emirates, Qatar Airways, Etihad Airways, Gulf Air, and Saudia are operating at reduced capacity with flexible change policies. These airlines are not returning to pre-war routings due to insurance and crew concerns. Low-cost constraints. Fly Dubai and Air Arabia face more restricted schedules on Iran, Iraq overflying routes with southerly western detours. Diplomatic and strategic context. Talks continue in Islamabad this weekend, around April 12th through 13th, though the ceasefire is seen as fragile and time-limited. Gulf states prioritize Strait of Hormuz openness post-ceasefire, avoiding criticism of the deal while Iran continues to leverage port access. Oil prices fell post-ceasefire, easing some fuel costs, but risks remain due to regional leverage. Previous conflict context. Entering week 4 of U.S.-Israel-Iran conflict, as of late March, early April, the UAE was hit by 2,700-plus projectiles targeting oil facilities, power plants, desalination, airports, and residences. The port of Salalah in Oman was struck on March 28 by Iranian missiles, damaging a crane and halting Maersk operations for 48 hours. Summary of aviation risks. Diplomatic progress is required to fully restore pre-war frequencies. Analysts view the ceasefire as a vital first step, but warn of prolonged detours and higher fares if instability continues. That's all we have for today. You can get the latest aviation news at aviatordb.com.